on a game show, and as you see, quite the impressive college football, NFL football career. We welcome in now Boston College legend Doug Flutie. And Doug, thanks so much for the time. We're going to talk about Family Feud and Dancing with the Stars and all of that a little bit later. But I want to start with some of your accomplishments. And I see right there behind you, you've got the Heisman Trophy. It's been how many years? Since 1984, the anniversary today of when you won it. When you think back to that day, what stands out the most to you?
It was 36 years ago. What stands out is we actually had a game that day and ushered off the field. There was commotion on the field, did a live interview, hustled to the locker room, took a private jet to get to New York, landed at Teterboro, helicoptered over to New York, and then took a limo across the street to get there in time for the announcement. And it was just a whirlwind day, and it was surreal, though, as far as winning. I actually went right back to Boston College that night and wanted to be with my teammates. And it was, the Heisman was something that wasn't even a goal. That's just something that was so far out of reach, you couldn't even think about it. So it was just it was just surreal. It really was. It was a wild day.
Yeah, Doug, it was definitely well-deserved. I know the Heisman ceremony will now be virtual this year, so I'm sure that's going to be not, unfortunate just for the player that gets it, but also for you guys that get a chance to go back and hand them that trophy as well. But talk about Phil Jurkovec. I know he had this injury this past weekend, but I'm a huge fan of his. I like that, he was able to come in and get into the offense, get, really that leadership role for that football team at BC. So just talk to me a little bit, and what do you think about his game?
He's really made a difference for Boston College, no doubt about it. I covered him at Notre Dame. He was a backup, and he had a big arm, but he never got on the field. And then all of a sudden to get on the field and move the way he moves. I mean, he's brought a legitimate passing game to Boston College. They can throw the football. They throw it down the field. Zay Flowers is a big-time receiver. But his ability to move as a big man and run for first downs and do some of the things with his legs was a dimension that was a bonus with Jurkovec, because you brought him in. He looks like the prototypical stand in there, throw the football from a pocket passer, but he can do the other stuff as well. And he's really brought some excitement to Boston College's offense.
He certainly has, and we've spoken with Jeff Hafley a few times, and he said it just means so much to hear from all of you and the text that he's been receiving from the alumni. So I know a lot of people are excited about what's happening in Boston College. You also mentioned Notre Dame, though, and I want to get your thoughts on the Irish right now. In the contention, looks like they could be headed straight, not just for an ACC championship game, but for the college football playoffs. How good do you think this Irish team is?
They definitely deserve to be there in the top mix in the college football playoffs, and they can win it. It's not a team at Notre Dame anymore that is just happy to be in the conversation or get there. They're legit. Their defensive line, their defensive ends are big-time defensive ends. They have great speed on defense. Ian Book at quarterback is the guy that brings it all together. Great offensive line, run the football. His numbers aren't crazy, but he's thrown one interception all year. He protects the football. He set a record for the most consecutive passes at Notre Dame without an interception. He's the guy that brings it all together for them, and he should be in the Heisman conversation. But their skill level is as good as anyone in the country.
Yeah, Doug, I really agree. And you talk about a potential ACC championship game with Notre Dame and Clemson. Who would you give the edge to with now Trevor Lawrence being back for the Tigers?
I think the edge goes to Clemson. Because they've been there, they've done that. Trevor Lawrence, they went to OT, even though the backup played exceptionally well against Notre Dame. But very minimal, maybe a slight favorite would be Clemson. But I just have this feeling that it's Notre Dame's year to do it.
Doug, we talked about how it is the anniversary of when you won the Heisman, but this is kind of a big week for you because last week we were talking about it was the anniversary of Hail Flutie. So first of all, do you ever get tired of hearing that call? And second of all, do you remember what the first thing you thought when you saw that he actually came down and made that catch?
As far as hearing about it, it always brings a smile to my face, no doubt about it. You wish people remember you did a few other things. What amazes me is as I throw this ball and look down, I just saw everyone fall to the ground, and then all of a sudden I saw this official's arms go up, and I just started laughing. I couldn't believe it. I started running. Gerard Phelan said that he saw the paint in the end zone underneath him, and he's like, oh my gosh, I am in the end zone. They're never going to let us get away with this in Miami. There's got to be a flag somewhere. And And 35 years later, I did a bunch of pieces about this thing, and I found a different camera angle and footage. I told the tight end to go long down the backside and get wide, and I wanted to roll right, set, and take a peek before throwing the Hail Mary. I didn't really have an opportunity to do that. I just threw the Hail Mary. Our tight end is all alone by himself at the 10-yard line down the left sideline. So I had options.
That's awesome, man. And I grew up, and I'm sure Kelsey did too.
It was the backside corner that came across and bumped into the safety, so I could have thrown backside to the tight end. Anyway, that would have been too easy.
Yeah, that's dope, man, because I grew up watching that. Yeah, I definitely grew up watching that, and I've seen it probably 10,000 times now, especially now that I'm with the ACC Network. But out of all the amazing accolades you've earned, Doug, which one has been the most special to you? I know 1984 Maxwell, Davey O'Brien, the Heisman Trophy, and then 6-time CFL Most Outstanding Player and the NFL Pro Bowl selection, Comeback Player of the Year. Which of all those accolades that you earned was the most special to you?
Well, my first championship was up in Canada, and that was very special about the way you went about that. But I think the year I came back to Buffalo, back to the NFL, and went to a Pro Bowl, we went to the playoffs, Comeback Player of the Year. That was kind of a redeeming year, a year that kind of proved to myself and others that, yes, I can do it at the NFL level, and that was very, very special to me.
Doug, I had a feeling that you probably weren't going to say the biggest accomplishment was Dancing with the Stars, but that was another cool accomplishment. What was that whole experience like, and your life after football and getting to do some of this?
That was sheer misery, all right? That was you got to be kidding me. I was, my daughter and my wife talked me into it. I was scared stiff. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was a lot of work. And yes, the bling Flutie shirt with the bedazzlement all over it. That was from day one.
That's dope.
It was ridiculous. I tell you what, that's not my cup of tea. It was sheer horror. It got more, my favorite time was when you finished your dance on live TV and you could sit back and relax and watch everybody else dance. I got to relax for half the show.
I know it had to be quite the experience. Doug, we've got 60 seconds left in play, so we're going to hit you with some rapid-fire questions. First word that comes to your mind. In one word, how would you describe the taste of Flutie Flakes?
Sweet. Ton of sugar.
Okay. Favorite singer of all time. Favorite singer of all time, Doug.
Oh, gosh. Ann Wilson of Heart.
You've done a lot of things. What is one goal you would still like to accomplish?
I'm still going to make that comeback and win a Super Bowl at 65 years old.
I love it.
Okay. Buffalo or New England?
Oh, Buffalo, only because those were my good years in the NFL.
More nervous on, I may know this already, Dancing with the Stars, a 2-minute drill, or Family Feud?
2-minute drill, definitely. Give me the ball in my hands with a chance to win it.
Okay. Favorite travel destination that you've been to?
Oh, my goodness. Costa Rica for surf trips. No doubt about it.
Doug, we've got one question left for you, and it's something we ask everybody who comes here on In Play. And first of all, kudos to you for rolling with the punches there in this world of technology and still making this interview work. We appreciate you. You're getting on an early morning flight. Are you going to order apple juice or orange juice?
Oh, orange juice. Definitely orange juice.
That is the right answer. Doug Flutie, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thanks,
guys. A lot of fun.